In the cold, black sea between galaxies, where even light itself grows thin and weary, something moves. It is not a fleet, nor an empire, nor even a species, as we understand it. It is hunger itself, given a terrifying shape and a singular, relentless purpose. For millennia, it has drifted unseen, a silent predator feeding upon entire worlds far beyond the edge of known creation. And now, in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, it has found us. The first whispers of its arrival came from the eastern fringe faint, signals abruptly cut short by a hiss of static. Explorer fleets, once charting the unknown, went silent. Imperial worlds, bustling with billions of souls, stopped answering the calls of their astropaths. At first, the blame was cast on familiar evils. Warp storms, perhaps, or another petty rebellion. How wrong they were. Then came the refugees. They were hollow-eyed, trembling shells of men and women, speaking only of skies gone dark and seas that boiled with unnatural life. They swore the stars themselves were moving. The vast Imperium of man, in its arrogance, did not believe them. Not at first. After all, humanity has faced every conceivable horror. The galaxy could conjure demons, Xenos, heretics, but nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared them for the truth that was coming. For beyond the void lay the Tyranids. They are a swarm not born of this galaxy, but from the infinite darkness between them, drawn here by the irresistible scent of life itself. They came not as conquerors, seeking territory or glory, but as a harvest. They are the galaxy's ultimate predators. Each Hive fleet is a living, breathing ecosystem. Their ships are not built of steel and wire, but grown from flesh and chitin, pulsing with an alien, hypnotic rhythm. They travel through the void as a single, unified organism, guided by the mindless will of something vast and terrible, the hive mind. It is not a god. It is not a leader. It is the Gestalt consciousness, the sum of all Tyranid thought, fused into a singular, perfect, purposed feed, to evolve and to consume everything. When a hive fleet finds a world ripe with life, it does not attack immediately. It watches. It learns. It studies the biosphere, the defenses, the weaknesses, with cold, alien patience. Then, the sky opens. Spore pods, millions of them, rain down like meteors of flesh. The air fills with the shrieking of winged horrors. The very ground begins to pulse as alien organisms burrow deep into the soil, reshaping the planet into something alive, something monstrous. Every drop of biomass, from the smallest plankton in the sea to the meatiest predator on land, from a blade of grass to a human being's catalogued, devoured, and recycled. In the terrifyingly efficient economy of the swarm, nothing is wasted. To fight the Tyranids is to fight hunger itself, an enemy that cannot be reasoned with or intimidated. Las guns burn gaping holes through their endless swarms, but for each creature you slay, 1,000 more crawl over its corpse. Bolters roar, tanks are torn to shreds, and orbital strikes sear the sky unstill. The tide advances, undeterred and unending. But the worst part is not what you see on the battlefield. It is what follows. Hanging in the stratosphere, a silent god of consumption waits the hive ship. This world-sized leviathan opens its maw to the dying planet below. Vast, living tendrils descend through the atmosphere in storms, anchoring themselves deep into the planet's crust. The world's oceans boil away into steam. Its atmosphere thickens with toxic ash and corrosive acid. And then, in a single, unbroken act of cosmic gluttony, the planet begins to die. All organic material, plant, animal, and humanese, broken down and siphoned upwards. Even the oceans are drunk dry. The crust is stripped bare for its minerals, the very core tapped for its geothermal heat. When the process finally ends, only a barren, lifeless rock remains, spinning silently through space, a monument to a world that was. Then, the Hive fleet moves on, and it is stronger. Every battle, every planet, every single life consumed makes the Tyranids more powerful. They adapt faster than any enemy can plan. If a weapon kills them once, it will not kill them again. If a fortress withstands their assault, the next wave will find a way through. The hive mind learns from every encounter, and it never, ever forgets. World after world falls. The names of once proud planets fade from imperial records, replaced with a single, chilling word: consumed. To the Tyranids, there is no concept of victory or defeat. They do not feel hatred for their prey. They do not rejoice in their feasting. They simply feed. Their logic is as pure as it is absolute. Life is energy. Energy sustains the swarm. Everything else is irrelevant. Even the psychic screams of dying worlds cannot escape them. Devouring's presence is so immense that it devours the psychic energy of the warp itself, creating vast regions of absolute null space. The Imperium calls this phenomenon the shadow in the warp. Within these zones of psychic silence, even the Emperor's light falters. Astropaths go blind or mad. Navigators lose their way, their ships vanishing forever into the suffocating silence. For those trapped within the shadow, there is no hope and no escape. Imagine standing beneath a night sky where every star has been swallowed by an encroaching blackness. Imagine the air itself vibrating with alien whispers you can feel in your bones, while the ground beneath your feet trembles with the movement of a billion chitinous claws. Imagine firing your weapon until it melts in your hands, and still, the swarm does not stop. Imagine hearing the screams of your comrades as they are pulled into the writhing darkness, and then realizing you can no longer tell where the enemy ends and the world itself begins. That is what it means to face the tyrants. On a forgotten world named Tyran, the Imperium first understood the true nature of this horror. They arrived too late. All they found was a dead world, its biosphere devoured down to the last microbe, and the drifting remains of its destroyers. From that day, the Xenos menace was given a name, the Tyranids. But naming the horror did not stop it. It only made it real. Hive Fleet Behemoth came first, a tidal wave of flesh and fury that crashed against the prestigious Ultramar system. The Space Marines fought with legendary valor, losing entire chapters just to hold the line. Even the mighty Ultramarines barely survived, their home world scarred beyond recognition. Then came Hive Fleet Kraken, which learned from Behemoth's mistakes. It split into countless smaller tendrils, attacking from all directions at once. No single army could face it. Whole sectors of space vanished from Imperial maps. And then came Leviathan. It descended upon the galaxy from below the galactic plane, striking from an angle no one could predict or defend. It was larger, more voracious than anything that had come before, a living sea of nightmares, blotting out the stars. And these are only the fleets we know of. Who can say how many others move in silence, their paths threading through the dark between the stars, still unseen? A truth too terrible to speak aloud is whispered by some within the Inquisition, that what we have seen so far is not the main swarm, that these devastating hive fleets are merely scoutster, leading tendrils of a hunger that spans galaxies. If tatis true, then all the bloody wars of the Imperium, all its victories and sacrifices, are but sparks against an oncoming storm, because the Tyranids cannot be reasoned with, they cannot be bargained with. They cannot be truly destroyed, only delayed. And someday, when every star in the Milky Way has been harvested, when every planet lies as a dry and hollow husk, the hive fleets will turn once more toward the void. They will drift onward, silent and eternal, searching for the next galaxy to consume. The Imperium prays to its corpse emperor for salvation. The ancient Eldar whispered desperate warnings on the stellar winds. Even the brutish orcs feel a strange, primal thrill for in the Tyranids. They see a challenge worthy of an endless war, but none of them truly understand what they face. The Tyranids are not evil. They are not even alive in the way we understand life. They are nature, stripped of all mercy, stripped of all balance. They are hunger, perfected, and in the end, hunger always wins. When the last fortress crumbles, and the last prayer fades into silence, when the stars themselves begin to dim and the galaxies fall silent, one by one, there will be only one truth left in all of creation. The swarm endures, and in the cold, dead space between galaxies, the hive mind will stir once more, dreaming of the next world to devour. Because in the end, everything feeds the swarm. Everything. Thank you so much for joining me on this dive into one of Warhammer 40,000's most terrifying factions. If you enjoyed this journey into the darkness, please consider liking the video and subscribing for more lore. Let me know in the comments which cosmic horror you'd like to see us explore next. Until then, stay safe out there.